Hey guys, and welcome back to the I'm Talking podcast. I'm your host, Ailani, and I am so excited to be back in the swing of things. Just like that, we're here with another episode, and it's crazy. Time is flying. It's literally crazy to believe that time is literally I feel like we just were in the beginning of August, and now it is September. What the hell? But with that said, you guys can already see the title. So this episode is going to be a letter to myself. Basically, I'm going to be talking about 5 key things that I would tell my younger self. And I kind of got this idea from those TikToks going around. You know how people are doing the healing TikToks where it's 20-year-old me meets 16-year-old me. And I've wrote about this in my journal previously, but when I saw the TikTok, I was like, wow, I should definitely do one of those because I have a lot to say. So here we are. And it's really crazy because, you don't believe how fast time is really flying until you take a minute and you slow down and realize that there's literally 3 months left to 2021. What the hell? And I know I just repeated myself, but it's literally crazy. My mom used to tell me all the time, Lon, enjoy being a kid. Lon, enjoy being 16. Enjoy being a senior in high school. Enjoy being a freshman in college because it only happens once. Enjoy being 18. And I literally would just be like, yeah, 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 of course. Because all of my life, since I can remember, I used to fantasize about being in my 20s. And literally just in my 20s, not in my 30s, not about what my teenage years were going to be, since I was little, since I can remember. I've always fantasized about being in my 20s, living in a nice apartment in the city with my sister, and doing fun girl stuff and just living life, but solely in my 20s, which is weird. I don't know why I didn't fantasize about being in high school and all that stuff, literally only in my 20s. So my first favorite of the week is this app called the Pilates class, and I've literally been loving that. So another podcaster I spoke to a while ago, I basically was just like, hey girl, you are always working out. It looks like you always have the motivation, you are literally always on your shit. How do you do it? And she was like, to be honest, I don't always have the motivation, but it helps going to group classes and, you know, doing workouts that make me feel good and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, but how do I do that for myself? Because I'm not gonna lie, I like going to the gym. I like doing at-home workouts. I've tried a couple of group class workouts and I like them, but obviously with COVID, I haven't been able to really take advantage. And now that things are opening up again, yeah, I can go. But to be honest, I don't feel totally comfortable. One, and two, I have literally not had time. So if I don't try to do an at-home workout or at least go to the gym in my community, then I'm most likely not doing a workout. So I found this new app called the Pilates class, and they literally have everything on there. I can do a 5 to 10 minute workout and it just be Pilates, or it can be something a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit more difficult. So on the days that, let's say, I am too tired or, I really just don't have the energy, I will do a Pilates slash yoga, which I tend to do yoga every day. I don't really consider that my workouts unless it is the week of, you know, my monthly visitor, my friend. Then I will strictly do yoga that week and I won't do any other intense workouts. Besides, maybe I'll walk or something like that, but I won't do any other workouts. But the rest of the weeks, I will do jump rope, I'll do other things. But with this Pilates class, I literally can pick anything. So I've really, really been loving that. If you guys are into kind of like group classes or you're into just having an app on your phone or even like videos, because I go on YouTube and I follow like the YouTube videos occasionally when I do at home workouts, but I feel like when I go onto the app, I can literally just find in 2 seconds either a 5 minute workout, a 10-minute workout, a yoga class, a Pilates class, a strength training, literally like whatever I want to do, I can literally find it in 2 seconds. So I've been loving that. And my next thing is, and I have to talk about it because, you know, I just have to. The new Kanye album, Donda. What are your thoughts? Of course, I'm going to share mine. And I know some people are going to disagree with me, but I think it's fire. I think out of the entire album, it's like a 20 out of 26, which is pretty good to me. And the couple people that I've been talking to about it have been saying the same thing. Like my boyfriend, we've literally played it since it came out. We've played it, I don't even know how, like maybe 20 times. And we had the audio from like his first listening party. So my boyfriend's had the audio files on his phone. But now that it's officially out, we've been playing it over and over again. And my sister too. My sister said it was fire. Um, so let me know your thoughts on that. Um, but now let's jump into the episode because I don't want to ramble too long and I just jump right into it. So, like I said earlier, it's only when we can step back while we are learning on our own, while we're navigating, Jesus, while we're navigating our life on our own, is when we realize, like, oh shit, I haven't stopped to do this. And, maybe if I would have stopped, I could have done this better. There is definitely some things that I wish I would have known. And this is not like specifically towards any age for me. Like, this is not only for my 16-year-old self, my 18-year-old self, just generally from the age of 21, because I'm 22, 20, turning, wow, 20, I'm 20, I'm 22, turning 23 at the end of November. But this is pretty much a 21 and younger kind of advice series. I don't know what I would tell my younger self, pretty much. You guys get the gist. The first one is life can be harder now and easier later, or it can be easy now and harder later. And I heard this from another podcast actually a while back, and it resonated with me a lot because when I first moved down to North Carolina from New York, I literally was busting my ass. Like, I was hustling when I tell you, and I think I've spoken about this in my previous episodes, but I was literally working like 12, 13 hours a day. I don't even know how. Like, I look back on it now and I'm like, yo, what the hell? Like, where did I get this superpower, this supergirl strength, not work ethic, but I was exhausted with 2 dogs, working 13 hours, 12 hours, 13 hours a day. Like, how the hell was I even doing it? But also, I had wanted to start a couple businesses. I had wanted to look into some other business ventures that I was so afraid to do. Like, I was just telling myself, like, no other 18-year-olds are doing that. Like, how can I do it? Or, very much imposter syndrome. And if you want to hear an episode solely about imposter syndrome, let me know because I would love to do one. But I just had a hard time with accepting the fact of like, I had just quit college or dropped out, I guess you can say. So there was that. And I'm like, okay, well, all my other friends are still in school, even my family gave me a lot of crap. They still give me so much crap on not finishing school. And I'm sorry, you know, everybody has different views, but to be honest, you don't need schooling for a lot of things. You don't need schooling to be successful. And I say that because there's a lot of people that are millionaires, that are billionaires, that have never finished high school or finished college. And to me, I was so focused on, you know, making my life easier, paying my bills at 18 years old, um, just things that I wouldn't have thought of, or things that I didn't take the time to do that made my life a little bit harder now, right? So, for example, let's say if I would have started my tutoring childcare business when I first moved down here at 18 years old, I wouldn't have had to work for 2 years in these retail jobs working for people. I could have been working for myself since the age of 18. But instead, I've been working for myself since the age of 19, turning 20. So, I mean, like, it's just little things, you know? Oh my God, sorry guys. If you can hear my legs are getting stuck to the chair because it's so damn hot. Um, but that's one way where if I would have just chosen a business venture and stuck to it for these past 4 years, I probably would have been a millionaire by now. But again, my life at that moment wasn't in that direction. Like, I wasn't looking into those things. I was solely worried about how can I make myself just pay my bills and just make it through these days, pretty much, because that's kind of how I was living. Which I don't know if that makes sense to you in terms of it being easier, because life is always going to be hard. But like I said before, if I would have just taken these 4 years to create a business, study this one business, I probably would have been a millionaire by now, you know? And I didn't. And I'm not a millionaire, but we'll be there soon. Um, like I was trying to say before, life can be harder now, or it can be harder later. Or like my parents, for example, you know, my mother had two kids very young. She busted her ass. She went to school and she's 40 now. And she gets to spend the rest of her life doing whatever she wants because she has two grown ass kids that she don't gotta worry about anymore. So she has literally the rest of her life to do whatever she wants. But my dad, you know, he had his job, but he would ref and he would for basketball, baseball, all of that stuff. And we used to tell him, and I think he wanted to be more so in the house than pursue his passion. But he would have already been a ref in the NBA if he would have, listened to us when we told him like, hey, it's okay. You might not be in the house for a couple months, but go do your thing. Then I would have been going to NBA games. Like, come on, Dad, you were holding out. Um, but just as an example, like life can be harder now, or it can be harder later. I don't want to be 60 years old still working for somebody. I don't want to be 70 years old. To be honest, I don't even want to be 30 years old working for somebody. I don't even want to be 25 years old working for somebody, or, still trying to figure myself out. Like, I want to be retired, doing my own thing. That way I can enjoy the rest of my life. So, whatever I have to do to bust my ass to get it done now is what I'm going to do, period. Why did I just say period? I'm going crazy. Number two is other people's opinion of you are not your problem. Listen, I am still learning this. I still have to tell myself this every day because I have had such an issue with people pleasing. I am a people pleaser. Like, if someone says one thing that makes me feel like, oh crap, how can I do this better? And not in a how can I do it better for me way, but for example, um, I said something on here that I didn't think was offending anyone, but apparently it offended someone, and you know, it turned into this whole big debacle, pretty much. And now we're not speaking. Instead of me making a whole big thing and being butthurt about the situation, I should have just been like, well, this is my podcast. You chose to listen, and I'm going to say what I want. But I didn't. And I still have a hard time doing that. Even my 16-year-old self, in terms of being in high school, or my 18-year-old self, in terms of going to college, I did not know what I wanted to go to college for. I'm not going to lie. I thought that I wanted to be a doctor. Then I thought I wanted to be a teacher, but I literally did not know. Like, if I could have gone 4 years undecided and just got a major in I don't know what, then that's probably what I would have done if I decided to go to school, because I literally did not know where, you know, everybody around me was like, yeah, go, 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 don't take a gap year. One of my cousins took a gap year and ended up being more than a gap year. It ended up being like a couple years. But then he went back and did his thing. But, I always heard, take a gap year. Like, don't do that. How are you going to do that? You're not going to go back if you take a gap year. And I feel like if I would have just not gone to college straight from getting out of high school and figuring out what it was that I love to do, then things might have been different. Uh, but I didn't. And it's okay. And I'm still learning. And even now, like I said, I still have a hard time with people pleasing. Like, I still need to tell myself every single day people's opinions don't matter, especially with this podcast. I wanted to start this podcast from literally last year, from before quarantine, from before COVID. So, like the beginning of 2020, I had wanted to create this podcast. And I kept telling myself, no, who's going to listen to your podcast? What are you going to talk about? How many listeners are you going to have? Like, do you really think you're going to have that many listeners? You don't even have that many friends. So I always listening to myself, like my self doubt, but also, you know, still, again, my primary issue and my primary, like, reason for people pleasing is from, like, it comes from my family, right? And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to start a podcast. Like, I already get crap about how I didn't finish school and how I'm a air quote glorified babysitter. What are people going to think when I say I want to start a podcast? Like, they're going to laugh, you know? And that was sucky. Like, I shouldn't have to think like that. But anyway, that's number two. Other people's opinion of you are not your problem. Number three is always be present. This is a super, super big one because I tend to be on go. And again, I spoke about this a little bit in my last episode, but I am always on go. Like, I literally forget to stop and be like, today's Monday, today's Tuesday, we're already in August. Like, it's so crazy. And I forget to have fun. I forget to enjoy the little things in life. You know, my boyfriend and I have been together 5 years, and I'm like, oh my God, we've only taken like a couple vacations in the 5 years that we've been together. Or where I tend to forget that I am 22 years old, that I am healthy, that I am living, that I have family members that are still alive, and to be grateful, which is hilarious because I tend to write down every day what I'm grateful for, but somehow I still manage to forget to be present. Like, I don't know if this is just my brain or if other people can relate to this. Let me know. The fourth one is you need people. This one is probably like my biggest one, if not the next one that I'm going to talk about. But I feel like I can do everything by myself. I feel like I am Miss Independent with also codependency. Like, I don't know, my brain, the way it works, like, I just legit do not know. But I am that person where I feel like I can do it all myself. In terms of everybody, in terms of when my boyfriend asks me to, if I need help with things, if family members ask me if I need help, friends. I have not spoken to a lot of my friends that I used to be so close to in years. I have such a bad relationship when it comes to friendship. I feel bad that I say I only have a couple friends. And it's good to only have a couple friends, but like, I don't know, sometimes I am a shitty friend. And I know that I'm a shitty friend and I try to be a better friend and then I just go back into my ways where I'm a shitty friend. And I don't intentionally mean to be a shitty friend, but I am just one of those people where I feel like I can't talk to you every day. Like, the only person that I talk to every day, or the only two people that I talk to every day, are my sister and my boyfriend. My sister is my best friend. My boyfriend is damn near my best friend. Like, he he's everything, right? And I live with him. But those are literally the two people that I speak to every day. Other than that, I can barely remember to speak to my uncle and the baby, or my mom, or my dad. Like, my dad texts me and he's like, hey, what's up? I haven't heard from you. The only time I hear from you is when I text you first. And I'm like, oh shit. What, like, why am I not being present? Going back to the third one, why am I not being present? Why am I not texting these people that I love? I have a lot of friends back in New York that I genuinely love, that I've met through work, that I've met, you know, when I was younger in school, that I have been friends with for over 10 years that I legit do not speak to because I just forget to be present and I forget that I meet people. And it's so tough, especially when I moved down here. I needed people and I just pretended like I didn't because I was hurting. Um, and I felt alone, and also I isolated myself, which made me feel more alone. But I needed a group of girlfriends. I needed my sister. I needed my family members, and I isolated myself to the point where the only people that I spoke to were my boyfriend and his family. I'm dealing with the consequences of my actions pretty much, because I have a few friends, and even the friends that I used to have, I don't speak to as often. I'm glad that one of my friends that I was very close to when I was back in New York, she actually was on a road trip and she was stopping through Charlotte and she was like, hey, I'm going to be in Charlotte I'm only going to be there for 2 days, but I hope that you can squeeze me in because I really want to see you. And I'm like, oh my God, yes, of course. And I was able to like work around my schedule to squeeze her and her fiance in so that we can see each other because I haven't seen her in years and I haven't spoken to her in years or months or whatever. I'm like, damn, when was the last time we spoke? Like, there's so much, you got engaged. I missed it. Like, these are the things that I catch myself doing that I don't catch myself doing while I'm doing it, but then I have to look back and I'm like, yo, what the hell are you doing? Like, you need to reach out to these people. And then I will. I reach out and I'll, you know, explain what it is. But also, it's been tough for me. So I try my best. But I'm learning now that I need to have my people in my life. I need to have friends. I need to have my family members. I need to have people that love me. But all like I need to have people that love and support me in my life. I don't have space or time for fake love because I do have a couple friends that, well, they're not my friends anymore, but I do have a couple people that I used to be friends with that only used to check me when they needed something or only used to check me when I can go pick them up because I was the only one that had a car of like my friend group in high school, beginning of college. Um, and that's like, that sucks. We're gonna take a little break and we'll be back shortly because I want a snack, to be honest. And I don't want to eat while I'm on the mic. So we'll be back. Okay, I'm back now. I got my little snack. I drank some water. I was hydrating. And now we're back with the fifth tip of advice. My last one is you have to let go of expectations. If someone would have told me this, I don't even know where I would be. I don't know where I would be. If I would have heard this back in, I literally just drank water. I don't know why that happens to me where I will drink water and I'll get the hiccups right after. Anyway, just all through my life, if somebody would have told me from fifth grade, from fourth grade, from seventh grade, from 10th grade, let go of expectations, I would have been such a happier girl. Like, I don't understand. Having expectations is literally going to be the death of you. You get let down the most because you have expectations. Going into any relationship, whether it be a friend relationship, work relationship, let's say, for example, I just got a new job. I was the only person that was in her early 20s to get a new job. This is just saying, like, hypothetical. But I went in there thinking that everybody's going to treat me the same. My ideas are going to be brought to the table. Everybody's going to listen to me. But they didn't. And, it took months before people could hear my ideas. Then obviously I'm going to be like butthurt. I don't even want to use the word butthurt, but I'm going to be let down because my expectation going to that job was that I was going to be heard, that I was going to be hired to be heard. Another example of expectations is with my boyfriend. And we very rarely fight or argue. It's only discussions. We have discussions, we call them, because we tend to communicate very well. Unless I catch an attitude and I don't want to hear it that day, then it goes left and then we'll talk about it the next day. But if I would have had an expectation for him to do certain things for me when we first got together, then we might not be where we are today. And it's always, how can I say this without backtracking what I'm trying to say? What the hell? How am I trying to say this? If I expect someone in my life to be genuine, to return favors, to genuinely love and support me, but they don't, that's gonna break me. And then I'm gonna be upset. But I didn't have to be upset about it because I set that expectation up. You feel me? Like, I don't know why I don't have examples right now, like why they're not coming to my brain when I wrote everything down. Another example would be with my business, my childcare business that I have. If I would have just gone into this business, meeting these clients, meeting these families without setting any rules or any guidelines, they would have had expectations of what they expected me to be, pretty much. For example, there's there was one family that I was working with that would constantly be late to relieve me from my hour that I was there with a little kid. Now, they expect me because their last tutor or their last nanny said nothing. So they expected me to just sit there and wait 30, 40 an hour for them to come home so that I can go home. I'm sorry. I can't do it. So after it happened one time, I said something. Two times, I said something. The last time, I was like, unfortunately, we're not a good match. And I had to relieve that family, and I could no longer teach the child because, you know, I have things that I need to get done. But that family expected me to be the way they did, the way they used to have their nanny, tutor, whatever they used to have. And they lost my service. Another example is with this podcast and with my, again, with any other business venture that I have started. I expected everyone in my life to be supportive, to be understanding of what it is that I'm doing. And unfortunately, that's not the case. So then in turn, I let myself down because I expected people that I loved to support me, and they don't. So there's that. Those are my 5 key things. Number 1 was life can be harder now and easier later, or vice versa. Number 2 was other people's opinion of you are not your problem. Number 3, always be present. Number 4, you need people. And number 5, let go of expectations. There's definitely some things that I could have done better, but I wouldn't have known them unless I was navigating it all on my own and finding everything out for myself. Because people can always tell you things, but you can only realize once you've gone through it. So that's the episode. My ending quote that I want to share with you guys today is nobody gets to tell you who you are. So remember that. You are that girl, you are that guy, you are that man, you are that woman, you are that chick. No one gets to tell you who you are. And all of those things play into that. I would love to hear from you guys. So I'm going to put a link in my description where you guys can actually send me voice messages, and I would love to play them on here at the end of an episode or in the middle of an episode, or just share them in general. So I'm going to put the link in the description so you guys can do that. As well as make sure you guys are following my Instagram for some more content, for some inspiration. I'm gonna start doing some more behind the scenes type of stuff for your daily dose of me. Make sure you are following the Instagram. And thanks so much for listening in. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and talk to you Tuesday.